Sorry I haven't gotten an update here lately. I'm sure after you watched the other video, you're wondering, did the guy ever get rain? Well, not at that system. They're talking up to 2 inches and so forth. We barely got our sidewalk wet. So no, we didn't get any rain then, but we did here late last week, and we got most of it actually just on Sunday. So we've had around that, between the different farms, near that 2 inches to 2.5 is what we ended up with. Most of that coming just a couple of days ago. So our crops had to go through a fair stretch again after the last video of some more really high heat. I didn't put any Coron on simply because after we had missed that last rain, I finally decided to call it off. After we've had this rain here, I just think it's too late in the corn's development that I don't know that the chances of it doing a lot of good as far as getting a return on that investment is going to be, I just don't feel it's going to be a very good chance of that happening. So I decided just to call that off and just not do it. I know when I tested nitrogen in the soil, I had plenty in the soil. Once you get that moisture into the soil, those roots can start to extract that nitrogen. So I just think I was best off calling that part off. I put fungicide on 2 of the soybean fields, and they were my 2 best soybean fields, especially for foliage and so forth. They had already closing the rows at that time. They were getting close to it when we sprayed it. And the other beans are held back so much that they don't look like they're developing any further as far as the plant coming together. We've had plenty of dry days. It dries off, so I really not thinking that fungicide would have done those beans any good. Could be wrong. These are judgment calls a person has to make. I'm coming out here this evening on the 15th just simply because we're supposed to have high winds the next day, several days, and I was going to do this video a little bit sooner, but I was having a little hard time getting forgot what it was called there. My flying machine. Can't even think of the name. This is awful. I'm drawing a blank here, but trying to get that thing going, because as you can see, I have a camera on the front of it, and I thought if I flew this over the cornfields a little bit, maybe I could get an idea how the foliage on the corn would look overall in the cornfield. But I was having some difficulties, and here it just happened to be a setting on my phone that was getting this delay happening. It took me a while to figure out that setting on the phone. Haven't used this for last year. I don't think I used it. I used it a couple of years before that. I bought it about 3 years ago simply to look for if the intakes got plugged out in the cornfield because we were having such big rains. Isn't that kind of ironic? 3 years ago we were just extremely wet. But I couldn't see if the intakes or not had maybe plugged up, around the trash guard, so it wasn't draining out. So when the corn got so tall, I went and got this flying machine of mine here to fly over the cornfields to make sure all the intakes were working, and that really worked out really slick. So anyway, I have as you can see, my iPhone is over my controls here, and that's what takes the video and so forth as I fly over. So we're going to try that anyway. I realize it's a little later in the day. I want to take a look at the beans here. These beans here on the headlands, and this is that spot I had shown earlier in the year. I double up the rows right here because there's a lot of clay here. But when the dryness comes on, of course, these didn't get very tall. As you can see, they got, didn't have a lot of height to them. And I don't see that they're putting on any more pods, any more blossoms after we've had the rain. Of course, we haven't had it that many days ago. Let's walk into the field a little further here. And we'll get into these 30-inch rows. Now you got to remember these are 1.3 maturities, so of course they're probably not going to have any more growth on them just simply because of the earlier maturity anyway. However, I should take that back. I see there is a blossom there, and there's blossoms there, so who knows, maybe we get a few more pods on these beans. As I showed on my last video, I had sprayed these, killed off, and we did end up with a real good kill. Grasshoppers, clover worms, actually even the aphids did pretty nice job. And even now I'm not seeing any aphids yet on these soybeans. Of course, who would probably want to even have the soybeans? They probably went and looked for somebody that had rain and went to those soybean fields. It's kind of a half joke, guys. But you know, these, now that we've had some rain, I mean, there's still a lot of pods there. What is here is going to probably make a larger bean in here. You know, they're really developing yet, so we're probably going to get a larger bean, and that's going to help make up the yield. Like I said, soybean plant is really an amazing plant. It's such a versatile plant, and it tries to survive and push out as much as it can for seed. It's really kind of neat watching them. We'll just go over here, we'll take a look at this corn. Now, the corn actually, if you're looking at the plants, they actually probably look drier before than they do now. That's simply because a lot of those yucky looking leaves, dry leaves, are hanging down. They're starting to fall near the ground. And so it's, from a distance, what you end up seeing is the greenness of the stalks, and that way it doesn't look maybe quite as bad from the road once it starts raining and after time. But as you can see, you know, this corn really took quite a beating during all that drought. We look at the ears here. Ooh, wow. Okay, right here doesn't look good. This is the first one that I've noticed, and this is one of the driest spots here in this field. But you can see a lot of them did not pollinate on that ear. So we've really got, that's the first one I've come across that looks real bad. I should have looked in this area a little while ago. So right here, and the dryness this felt here really took a toll on the corn right here. Now this one is tipped back quite a bit, but the rest of the ear looks like it's developing. But look at the tip back on that. So we're going to have some spots in our field here that is not going to be good at all. Again, same thing on that ear. So we've got ear after ear doing the exact same thing. This corn was really hurt before we ever got any rain. So as you can see, coming across this with some corn on at this point is going to really have some very limited potential as far as trying to make yield. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take that drone, is what it's called. We're going to take that drone. I'm going to try to fly it over the field a little bit and see if we can gather any picture. If we can't see it, I'll just let you see what it looks like anyway. But boy, look at this spot here. I mean, we have some tough looking spots in here, that's for sure. It's hard to get a handle of how many acres is like that, you know, and how many acres are going to turn out pretty good. Now here, the soybeans still look like they're doing pretty well. Here's that spot I showed you, and I'll show you here. There's that spot where I didn't get any soy grain in. It's real bad for iron chlorosis. I am so impressed with this soybean. And that is just super. It's too bad it didn't have a little bit more rain, because those beans could have just done remarkably well. I mean, as good as probably any other type of soil. Definitely got to look at these. Now, these really look like they were not taking the dryness well at all. The beans are just turning white, and yet, wow, they sure do look good. And like I say, you can find, well, I found some blossoms, but I guess I don't see any more here. But I think as a 1.3 maturity, it's pretty much finding the end, but it is going to be interesting to see what this yields. So let's go ahead and take that drone and send it up, see if we can see anything. And then I'll show you some, another time, I'll show you some beans that were also set back so much during the dryness that they don't have a chance of making even what I would call a decent yield. That's just going to be a lower yield. I mean, it is what it is at this point. We just had it too dry for too long. Doesn't matter what the markets are doing. Markets go down, you say, wow, the crop must be doing well. Well, guess we'll find out this fall. Maybe, maybe not. But on some of my fields, definitely not. So I got my drone up into the air, got the camera on, it said it was recording, and I just wasn't getting video coming in. And it kind of froze on the screen, and I kind of knew it probably wasn't picking up a good enough signal. I did it earlier today, tried it out before I came over here, and it was working just fine. So go figure, technology, I always struggle with it. So what I did is I just drove over here to another area of the field. This shows, you know, some moderate drought stress during that same period of time. Let's just step in here and we'll see what the ears look like in here. Same number, not picking a different number, different corn. Just going to try the same one, different spot, because over here it certainly looks a lot better. And if we look at this, as you can see, whole different result. So we're going to have some really nice areas of the field, and we're going to have some really poor areas of the field. This one pollinated just beautifully. And this definitely was feeling a lot of that same stress, but just a better area of the field. Look at there, pollinated right to the end. Beautiful. Look at the length on that ear. That is definitely going to be some really nice corn right in this spot. So, as I'm saying, we're going to have some good spots. We're going to have some poor spots. Where's the yield? I wouldn't even try to guess to even estimate what kind of yield we're going to get this year, especially after we got the rain now. Hopefully that's going to help put some test weight on in that corn. That's my big hope, because it certainly isn't going to make any more corn at this point. We just basically have to hope for a lot heavier test weight like we've had the last few years. I've been running them. Most of my corn's been running right around that 60 pounds, 59 to about 60 and a half pounds. Bring it into the elevator. So it's been really heavy, and I'm just going to have to hope for that extra test weight to be put on now. I think before we leave this area, I got to show you that Pioneer 9624, because I am just really impressed with that corn yet this year. I was impressed with it last year as new corn out there, and this year I'm impressed with it again. It seemed to handle even the drought pretty well. Let's go over there and take a look at that before we end this video. Okay, we're over here at this Pioneer 9624. To look at this corn, I mean, this is a spot we should be seeing some definite drought stress here. And when I walk through this, I'm not seeing much. I mean, we come across, you know, a few leaves here. That's, of course, on a dummy stock that kind of came late. But otherwise, you know, if you look in there, it's pretty nice and green all the way through yet. Was able to hold on to its color. This is one of the fields that I thought about putting corn on anyway, and I probably should have, because this field here has really got some great potential. Matter of fact, it probably isn't too late. I'll peel back this ear here and take a look. Look at the pollination on that. That size of that ear is probably even bigger than last year. I'm very impressed with this corn. I'm glad I planted as much as I did this year, because as you can see, it pollinated really well. It's got good sized ears to it. Last year the test weight was excellent. This year, with the moisture we got now, I would imagine it's going to be just as good. Remember, I put corn on everything last year. Now I'm starting to think I maybe should have on this anyway. However, after we missed that big prospect of rain, I decided to skip it. Everything seemed to be drying up so bad except a few areas like this. I am just really impressed. And the height, now the height, I had this on a pretty dry spots last year, but we didn't have quite the dryness we do this year. And I didn't think the corn was as tall as it is this year. This year it's put on just a little bit more height, but it's just perfect. That is still the perfect corn. I am absolutely amazed at this hybrid. It's definitely, I would say, my favorite out of all. The height of the corn, the height of the ears, the amount of leaves. I mean, the leaves are just big, and you know, we're not seeing really anything for diseases here either, but that probably isn't real surprising. We haven't really had the moisture either to help diseases along. But it's just a fantastic corn. I just can't brag enough about it. I will put in a little bit of disclaimer here. You know, if I don't like something about a seed company, I'm just honest. I'll just say my piece on it. And there's only one thing that I would caution about Pioneer, and it has nothing to do with their seed salesmen. It has nothing to do with their agronomists, their territory reps. Don't give them a bad time. They are not the ones that make these decisions. But the only complaint I have with Pioneer is they don't really, I feel, treat their loyal customers that are planting the corn year after year as well as they do as if you come in as a newcomer. So what I was doing for a while, and some others were doing as well, is buy Pioneer 1 year, don't buy it the second year, because then when you come in again the next year, so you come in every, let's say, odd year, and you come in the odd year, you can get a lot better price on their seed. However, if you plant it every year, you can't get that same price. You can't get that cut. And I don't know who the higher ups are that make those decisions, but I would think they would want to at least keep their loyal customers and to treat them as fairly as they are new customers. And I understand they want new customers. That's not a problem. It's just that if you start playing that game of every other year, it's hard because they change these varieties constantly. And so if I'm going to do it every other year, now if I didn't have it this year, I wouldn't have 9624. Then I'd have it next year. However, next year it might be already a hybrid that's already going on its way out and new ones are coming in, just like the 12 bags I tried of a new number this year. And so that's why I've been doing it. It's just that I wish the company treated us loyal customers as well as they do new customers. So that would be my big beef with Pioneer. So there, I said it, put it out there. You know me, I don't doctor up these videos. They're not for entertainment purposes. They're not for trying to make money and try to get a pile of people watching my videos. They're for information purposes only. My true opinions, what I gather, the information I gather, and it's all my opinions and my views that I'm sharing. And so I just kind of lay it out there. And it is what it is, as they say. So I don't mean to complain about they got excellent corn. They have excellent people that are, I work with the Pioneer people, second to none. However, my biggest complaint would be is their pricing structure is just not there for loyal customers. And that's just kind of sad, I think. You know, I just think that loyal customers should be treated as well as new customers. So some people play that game, just buy it every other year. However, it's hard to find your good lineups that way. And so, you know, that's why, like me, I'm still planting some Monsanto genetics as well. Otherwise, yeah, it'd probably be pretty easy just with all the lineup Pioneer has right now for our area. It'd be easy just to plant all Pioneer. But I'm probably not going to do that just simply because of the price structure and so forth the way it is. And it's probably good to spread it out a little bit so you can see what the competition has, make sure that what you got you're totally satisfied with, and you know that. Okay, there is my little rant for the evening. So we'll end the video with this before I get myself even in more trouble. So hope you guys have been getting rain that are watching this. Don't know what to tell you here in western Minnesota. Yields, I think, are going to be quite variable. Some are going to be very good, some are going to be very poor. That's kind of the way it looks at this point. So until next time, I'll show you a few other different fields and some of the struggles some other soybeans had of just not having even a chance because the rains just came too late. So till then, we'll see ya.